What's up, nation? Today let's talk about how to get a PlayStation 5 from Sony Direct this week and a new article that outlines that we may be seeing shortage of these next-gen consoles all the way through the first half of 2021. Alright everyone, so today I wanted to make a PlayStation 5 stock update video for two reasons. One of which is that if you are still on the hunt for this PS5 console, I now believe that Sony Direct is going to be your best shot at securing one this week, just based off of how we've seen them do stock drops in the past, and they are now doing daily stock drops so far this week, at least for Tuesday and Wednesday, and I think this continues into Thursday and maybe even Friday. So if you're still on the hunt, make sure that you follow all the steps to be best prepared to secure a PlayStation 5 from Sony Direct. Now, the other thing we're going to talk about today is a new article that came out that actually outlines the real reason we're seeing these consoles in such high shortages and such high demand, and that they can't quite meet the demand that's there from the chip manufacturers, and that's AMD themselves have actually released a kind of an official statement now that has actually said that they are struggling to meet demand and that they expect it to be that way until the first half of 2021 is over. So I want to read through the details of that article with you guys in case if you're wondering when can we expect stock to normalize. It definitely helps out peel back the curtain on that piece of the news. Now, before we do hop into all the details today, I just want to quickly invite you all to join Sunbro Nation if you haven't done so already. Do so by subscribing below, hit the like button on this video if you enjoy the content today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming and console news as we're in the new generation of gaming. And by the way, guys, doing that will enter you into my PS5 giveaway that I'm actually completing at the end of January this month, so make sure you don't miss out on that. But with that, guys, let's dive into the details. So if you follow the stock updates on my channel for PlayStation 5, you will know that I've always been a big fan of Sony Direct. However, for all of January, we really saw them fall off and not do much in the way of console restocks. Now, as of today, we've seen them go live 2 days in a row, and I want to clarify kind of what to expect with them going forward, because it does appear that Sony is getting more PS5 stock and they are selling it as they get it. Now, I want to kind of go ahead and communicate what we've seen in the past and then hopefully what that can do to best prepare you to secure the console going forward. So I want to communicate first and foremost the most common times that we see them go live, and that is Tuesday through Thursday. So sometimes Friday's in the mix, and typically not the weekends, at least not like around this period of time. We've seen them do weekends in the past as far as like right whenever the PS5 came out, but currently we've been seeing them mainly go live Tuesday through Thursday, and it could be as early as 12 p.m. Eastern time to about as late as 3 p.m. Eastern time. They're pretty consistent with launching in that window. Now, the nice thing about Sony Direct is that you get a notification that the queue will be starting 30 minutes before it actually happens. This is a random selection process, so it's the same thing as playing the lottery with them, okay? So you literally have to have as many different devices, not browser tabs, but actually devices pulled up with this Sony Direct link when that queue starts to go live, because browser tabs, it can detect that it's the same user in the same browser. If you have multiple browsers open, though, that would be one way to do it. You know, have Chrome and then Edge and then Firefox or whatever else. That's one way to do it. And then best way is probably going to be having a tablet, a phone, and then even multiple browsers on your desktop. You want to get as many devices in that queue as possible to give yourself the best shot at actually getting selected to go through and purchase the console when it becomes available. It does not matter when you enter the queue, as long as you're in there within that 30-minute time window. That's going to be the best shot that you have, and then it's going to be random selection from there. The other tips to make sure you're up on is that you're already signed into your PlayStation Network account, because if you're not, it will give you a button to sign in, which is then going to put you behind everybody else that's trying to purchase the console. So make sure you have that part taken care of, and then make sure, of course, your payment information, shipping address, and all of that stuff is already tied to your PSN account, so you have nothing to worry about. The same thing goes for if you're doing the multiple browsers and multiple devices. You're going to need to make sure that you're signed in ahead of time on all of those things. Now, I will have both the disc-based link and the digital-based link for the PS5 in my description below for Sony Direct Store. So go in there and set up that stuff ahead of time and be signed in, and make sure you're set to stay signed in so that you're prepared whenever we see them continue to go live. My personal prediction is that we may continue to see them throughout this week, at least Thursday, hopefully Friday, but if they follow just what's most commonly happened in the past, we should at least at the bare minimum see them go live again tomorrow. So hopefully, put a block out of time if you've still been on the hunt for this thing for tomorrow afternoon. Make sure your notifications are on Twitter and you're following all the accounts in my description, and that's how you're going to be first to the punch whenever Sony Direct does go live. But I really like the chances of securing a console with Sony Direct right now. We're seeing fewer and fewer bots, less scalper action. It's still out there, but it's not near as intense as it was during the Christmas season. So hopefully more and more gamers are going to be able to secure their console this week from Sony Direct, but just make sure you do all those steps ahead of time so that you are ready to go when this stock will continue to go live. And then again, make sure you're up to date on Twitter and all your news sources so you actually see the link when it gets tweeted out. You could even just leave your browsers pulled up and check during the day tomorrow, but I like Twitter because it makes it to where you don't have to be in front of your computer, and as soon as the notification pops up, you can click on it. As long as you're in that first 30 minutes of the queue, that's your best shot possible, and just remember to do all the multiple devices. I wanted to get that news out there in case it helps anybody hopefully get a console this week. So good luck to everybody that's still on the hunt with Sony Direct, and hopefully we see a bunch more PS5 stock sooner rather than later. And then the other thing I want to talk about today is actually a very interesting article that just was released, and this comes from Video Games Chronicle, or VGC. Now, they are actually reporting that AMD has done an official statement that has basically said they expect console shortage to actually go ahead and continue through the first half of 2021 before they can get caught up to do the CPUs and the GPUs that they produce for both the PS5 and the Xbox Series S and X. So with that information, we now kind of have a date in mind of when we can expect stock to totally normalize and actually be able to go into a store and easily buy this console. But it was interesting to me the way that they worded it, that, you know, they're going to have supply shortages through the whole first half of 2021, and they're expecting that to go away by the second half. But I want to read through the articles of the details of that article with you all today, just to shed some light on the reason behind this shortage. And, you know, a lot of gamers get mad at Sony and Microsoft and say, why didn't they make this thing sooner and things like that. And this kind of explains a little bit that they're really at the mercy of these chip manufacturers, and it's not just them that's kind of dropping the ball in production here, and there's really nothing that they can do about it. So I just want to share this with you guys in case if you're interested on when we might be able to expect normal stock to pop up for both the Xbox Series X and the PS5. AMD, which makes the CPUs and GPUs inside PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X/S, expects supply constraints to continue through the first half of 2021. Asked to characterize the magnitude of supply constraints facing the general semiconductor industry during AMD's fourth quarter earnings call on Tuesday, CEO Lisa Su said she expects some tightness during the first 6 months of the year before things pick up in the second half. So certainly when I look at the semiconductor environment in 2020, it was very strong. We saw a strong revenue ramp in our business as well as across some of our peers. It's fair to say that the overall demand exceeded our planning, and as a result, we did have some supply constraints as we ended the year. Those were primarily, I would say, in the PC market, the low end of the PC market, and in the gaming markets. That being said, Sue added, I think we're getting great support from our manufacturing partners. The industry does not need to increase the overall capacity levels, and so we do see some tightness through the first half of the year, but there is added capacity in the second half. Sony and Microsoft have been unable to meet demands for PS5 and Xbox Series X/X since their November launches, with the consoles quickly selling out each time fresh stock is made available to retailers. In November, Microsoft said it expects Xbox Series X and S supply shortages to continue until at least April 2021, an outlook that was reiterated by Chief Financial Officer Amy Hood during the company's own earnings call on Tuesday, when it said the systems had recorded the biggest console launch in the firm's history. Speaking in a recent podcast, Xbox boss Phil Spencer revealed that he contacted chipmaker AMD to see if they could ramp up manufacturing to try to meet the demand. I get some people asking, why didn't you build more? Why didn't we start earlier? Why didn't you ship them earlier? All of those things, Spencer said. It's really just down to the physics and engineering. We're not holding them back. We're building them as fast as we can. We have all the assembly lines going. I was on the phone last week with Lisa Su at AMD asking how can we get more. So it's something that we're consistently working on. But it's not just us. Gaming has really come into its own in 2020. Obviously, PlayStation 5 is in very tight supply. When you look at graphics cards from AMD and Nvidia, there's just a lot of interest in gaming right now, and console sales are just a sign of that. Game sales are a sign of that, and the hardware is in short supply. But we're working as hard as we can, Spencer added. The teams are incredibly dedicated, and I appreciate people's patience as we work to build more. So I do think that helps shine a little bit of light on what we're basically going through here with all of this intense console hunting just to be able to secure one. Obviously, scalpers and bots are its whole own problem, and that's something that is absolutely contributing to gamers not being able to easily get their hands on this console, but it's also not the only reason. There is just truly not enough chips around the world to be shipped to Microsoft and Sony to put into these consoles and pump them out from their manufacturing line. So obviously these companies want to make the sales, they want to make the gamers have the consoles as soon as possible because you're going to spend money on their software when you have a console in hand. So that's obviously not the problem. I think the problem does lie in just the overall shortage that we've seen, the higher demand of what happened in 2020 for two different reasons. You have more demand in gaming because people are at home more, and then you also have a lot of shutdowns and lockdowns that also affected manufacturing and production. So I think when all those things come together, it does paint a pretty clear picture of why we are still struggling in already the late part of January in 2021 to still go ahead and secure this console. So hopefully it gets easier from here, but at least we now kind of have a light at the end of the tunnel as far as an estimated timeline of the end of 2021 being a for sure date to expect, or past the middle part of 2021 rather, being the for sure date to expect AMD to have their chips ramped up to where Sony and Microsoft can both easily streamline their production and meet the demands of the consumer. So let's hope we see this go by sooner rather than later, but I did want to share that interesting article to gain some perspective on kind of what's going on behind the curtains here. Thanks so much for watching the video today, everyone. I do truly appreciate you all sticking around until the end. I do at this point in the video want to invite you all to leave me a comment. Let me know what you're going to plan on if you're still on the console hunt. Are you going to try Sony Direct this week and make sure you're in front of your computer in the early afternoon time like we mentioned in the video today? Or are you just going to kind of wait it out and wait for stock to normalize? Also, let me know your thoughts on the whole stock situation to begin with. Are you happy with this kind of article explaining how things are really, where the bottleneck is really at and it's really in AMD's court? Or do you still just think that Sony and Microsoft did not plan this thing out as well as they should have? And guys, before I do end the video, I do just want to quickly invite you all one more time to join Sunbro Nation. If you haven't done so already, do so by subscribing below. Hit the like button on your way out on this video if you enjoyed the content today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming and console news as we're in the new generation of gaming. That's going to do it for me, guys. I hope you all have a great day. Sunbro Nation, out.